Today let me welcome every one of us to this highly anticipated webinar where we say strategy meets funding success. This morning we'll be diving into one of the most critical steps in securing research funding, and that is crafting a winning concept note for the TETFund National Research Fund, the NRF. And we couldn't have asked for better guides on this journey. Please mute. Please mute. If you are not,
my face, and where we gonna reach?
Please mute. Please mute if you are not talking. Yeah, thank you. So we are privileged to be joined by it translates, into successful grant winning experience. And first, we have Professor Babalola, Professor Chinedum Peace Babalola, and we also have Professor Christopher Akim. The two of them have helped countless early career researchers to turn their good ideas into fundable proposals. They both have deep understanding, of the NRF framework, and they are bringing this morning with them a rare blend of strategic clarity and practical wisdom. And together, they will unpack the common pitfalls, and they're going to share key ingredients of standout proposals, while they offer actionable tips, which we are all expecting this morning, that can elevate your next submission from hopeful to highly competitive. So I want everyone to grab their notepads and listen attentively, put down your questions. We are joined through YouTube link. And so please, you can drop your questions. There'll be a moderator harvesting the questions in the comment section. So you can just type your questions in the comment section as you listen to the presentation. All the questions will be answered at the end of both presentation. And before we go into the first presentation, I just want to give a quick profile of Professor Chinedum Peace Babalola. Professor Mrs. Chinedum Peace Babalola ni Ayambuike is a distinguished pharmacist, academic leader, and trailblazing scientist. She holds B.Pharm, MSc, and PhD in pharmaceutical chemistry from Obafemi Awolowo University, with further training from the University of British Columbia, Kilimanjaro School of Pharmacy, Purdue University, and a PharmD from the University of Benin. She's also an alumna of Lagos Business School's Advanced Management Program. Professor Babalola was the first female pharmacist to become a professor at the University of Ibadan, and the first female dean of his Faculty of Pharmacy. She served as the Vice Chancellor of Chrisland between 2017 and 2022, where she expanded enrollment and led key academic and intellectual transformations. Our research focuses on pharmacokinetics, pharmacodynamics, pharmacogenetics, drug analysis, and novel dosage forms. She pioneered pharmacogenetic studies in Nigeria, revealing genetic markers affecting drug metabolism in HIV and sickle cell patients. She has over 130 publications and several patents. She has attracted over $2 million in research funding, including a $1 million MacArthur grant for the Center for Drug Discovery, Development and Production. She's a fellow of the Nigerian Academy of Science and the African Academy of Sciences. Professor Babalola has mentored over 50 graduate students, and she's recognized globally for her leadership in science, innovation, and education. She is married with children and remains a passionate advocate for women in STEM and equitable health solutions for Africa. And Professor Christopher Akim is a seasoned academic and engineer with a BEng, Bachelor in Engineering from the Federal Institute of Technology, Accra in 1999, and MSc and PhD degrees in agricultural engineering with focus on soil and water engineering from the University of Ibadan. He joined FUTA in 2004 from the University of Horizon to professor in 2016. He has held fellowships and visiting scientist positions across the globe, including the University Sains Malaysia, University Putra Malaysia, and through tours in France, Mauritius, and China. He's a recipient of multiple international awards and fellowships from institutions in Israel, Germany, and Netherlands, and South Africa, among others. Professor Akimbele has over 100 publications and won the Wiley Top Cited Article Award from 2020 to 2021. He has supervised over 100 undergraduate and 27 undergraduate students. Professor Akimbele has assessed academic promotions globally. He delivered FUTA's 135th inaugural lecture in 2021 and holds 2 patents. He serves on several national and university committees, including TETFund NRF Screening Committee and the National Research Fair. He has contributed to NUC accreditation and the UWIN program, and has represented Nigeria in international climate science and security forums. A fellow of Nigeria Society of Engineers, NIAE, ATPS, and other professional bodies. He's a current registered and editor-in-chief of PASAE and NIAE newsletters. Within FUTA, he has served in various leadership roles, including chairman of the Sports Council. As ordained minister, Professor Akimbele is married with children. His hobbies include reading and watching soccer. You can agree with me that we have seasoned experts this morning and seasoned professors that are going to take us through the tips to writing successful concept notes for TETFund NRF research grants. So I welcome Professor Chinedum Peace Babalola and Professor Christopher Akimbele to this webinar, and we are glad to have you. I will thank you for accepting our invitation to speak. So each will be speaking for 30 minutes, and after the presentation, we'll have, we'll treat the questions that have been asked by participants. So we go to presentation 1, and that is Professor Chinedum Peace Babalola. Ma, please, you have the floor. You can share your screen. You are welcome. Thank you. Professor Babalola, please, can you hear me? Professor Babalola.
Hello, tell her to unmute herself.
Professor Babalola, please unmute yourself. We cannot hear you. Professor Babalola, unmute yourself.
Please, I want to use my laptop. I have to Babalolas.
It's all right.
Okay, I don't know. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for inviting me. It's not very, very convenient, but I have to do it for my sisters that are here. And I thank you for inviting me. I know we know a lot about research grant right.
We can't hear you.
You cannot hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
So permit me to rush one slide from Professor Farumbi. You know, we run grant writing too in Chrisland, and I've invited, you know, he does that. So I just want to tease our brain a little bit. I'm going to rush it. I'm really going to rush it so that we can have an idea. Can you see this slide? Can you see?
Yes, we can. Yes.
Yes. I'm just going to rush it in 5-10 minutes just to refresh us. All right. So we know the definition of research. I'm going to just point out salient areas. We have what we call survival research. We just want to survive. TETFund has announced we must survive by force, by fire. And then we have racking research. So these are questions you need to ask yourself. Why am I even doing this that I'm doing? You know. So I think we should go to the third one, which is translational and innovative. That is what TETFund is based on. And what is the end result, you know, of what you want to do? You don't want to do first, second. The third one will benefit humanity. And that's where my brain is these days. We must be problem solvers. Even when I teach my students to be problem solvers. Don't just everybody is doing TETFund, let me also do TETFund. I don't even think there's a lot of money there for personal, you know, gratification and all that. But what can I use? 50 million, no matter how you look at it, it's still a lot. And nobody gives you 50 million, but at least something close. It's still something. So what can I use it to do to solve problem while improving myself? These are different stages which I won't bother us with. So proposal is it's also called protocol. It's an art. It is an art. That's the truth. And you look at the background information existing. There's nothing new under the sun. I must tell you that. So you have to look at background. I was talking with my mentee yesterday about a plan that we want. You know, our team is putting up. I won't be there because there's conflict of interest on sickle cell. And I keep saying, what's new about this? This thing is in the market. So I want the innovation. What is the new knowledge? Very important. So we can't know new knowledge except you look at existing knowledge. So I asked a lot of questions because they want to submit too. You know, what's the new knowledge? Okay, what did this other PhD student do? Then we said, okay, he looked at plants that had never been reported before for sickle cell, and we did find some useful. So what's the new knowledge? This thing we want to do, the drug is already in the market. Oh, they use the seed. Now I want to use the leaves. So these are questions you must ask. If you don't have background information, you won't be able to get new knowledge. Now, how do you plan to do it? That's methodology. What will it cost? That I'm just putting it simple. If you think about it this way, it becomes quite simple to you. What's the new knowledge? That's objective. How do I want to do? That's method. How much will it cost? Just ask yourself simple questions like this. How long will it take me? That's timeline. But when I come to you now and tell you objectives, methodology, it will be sounding, I've already heard it, but simplify it to yourself and you will find out that it is. How do I want to disseminate it? Okay, like I said, it's an art, you know, good writing will not save bad ideas, but bad writing can kill good ideas. So note that last point. Like I said, I'm rushing. I will ask his permission to give you this paper. And then why do you have to write for grants? Because you need resources. I mean, I suffered during my PhD, master's level, PhD, I suffered a lot before we collaborated with a group that had grants. So you need access to resources, you need equipment, you need to travel. This will help you too when you are doing your your budget. This particular slide, it's also an institutional tool, to promote yourself and the institution, and it helps you to publish well. You need to think deep. You need to think and then put those ideas into writing. But how do you communicate? Very important. You need teamwork. Only few grant applications pass. I don't know the percentage now. They just released the one we did treated last year. I know Futa came third, so we clap for you. Mina came first. I can't remember. I can't believe we have those records. They're our guys. This whole thing, So so don't be discouraged. When you fail, you rise up. I've had so many failures and I rose up. Understand the game. Understand the game. So study NRF TETFund very well. Start early. Like our group that's up a proposal right now. We've been on it. We were not thinking about TETFund. We're not at all. But the proposal is almost ready. The components we know. The title is a gateway. Once we read the title, it tells us the story, even on your concept notes. And don't be vague. This is an example of good and vague titles. Survey of sexual behavior among young people. Sexual behavior among adolescents in Nigeria. Prevalence of COVID-19 infection. Prevalence of COVID-19 infection among health workers in Nigeria. Introduction, statement of the problem. What's the problem we want to solve? So you look at the focus, then the design. I love this methodology. What do you plan to do? How? Please, this slide is extremely important. What, how, why, who, where, when. Very important slide. So these are some tips on writing. These are some tips on executive summary. So I'll just key factors to consider. This is another good slide. Objectives, eligibility. You have to read that eligibility. In short, when we are scoring, once we look at eligibility and you don't pass, we pass. Remember, concept note, you don't have time. It's a really screening one. So some reasons why proposals fail: application not addressing the focus, lack of awareness, knowledge chain, funding. You have to every year read it. Proposal does not fit the call, then lack of proper understanding of the agency's interests, reasons for failure, not innovative. Like this one we are doing in my group, I asked them, what's the innovation here? That's one thing that TETFund will look at. So reasons for rejection and so on. So I will just timeline. Let me just call it and go to what I want to do. Thank you. So for me now, end this. And that's, stop that sharing. So let me go to the one on concept notes. It's in prose, so bear with me. I don't know whether it's this one. So this is the call, which all of us have seen. That's the call. So the summary of what I want to say is that it's a call for 2025 initiative of TETFund to promote applied, I like the word applied research, addressing critical national challenges. And that's why it's localized, solve problem in Nigeria as much as possible. What are the problems? Climate change, all those things. These are the key areas. And there's a call ongoing. So concept notes are being accepted now for 2025 cycle. And it's been announced. I find it on Facebook. When I looked, I saw it it's even in Facebook, it's in Twitter. So people know that this is going on. What is concept notes? concise, structured research summary. I remember when I had to write concept note for the MacArthur TETFund. Oh my God, it was a tall order. We will write, we will rewrite, we will write. That was a real experience for me. And you know, MacArthur is international. It was a huge experience. I can, if I open my laptop and show you the various versions we had, you will be amazed. You know, so um, it's just what it is, concise. People should read it and just get the gist of the matter. Let me tell you, each of us will be assessing more than 300 concept notes within a specified time. So we are like machines. So once we look and we don't see what we're looking for, we just say pass over. The slides I showed you showed why people fail, you know. All right, don't forget, it's Nigerian money by taxpayers. Think about it. You don't want to waste taxpayers' money. And these are all the different sections you can work on. There are 3 thematic areas, which I know you should know by now, and how you want to submit. All right, let's go. I've said it's concise, it's structured, concise and structured. A clear problem to be addressed. What's the clear problem you want to address? When I did TETFund for COVID, ours was to find out natural remedies for COVID. That was our proposal. That was our theme. The objectives, I told you in the other slide when I was looking at what, how, and all that methodology. So once you use that tool I presented, it will help. How do I want to achieve this? What is new? That's objectives. What is really new? You know, then what at the end of it? What do I want? When I was talking with my research group, I'm not, you know, it's a group that has even my mentor in it. So she's the one that came up because she does sickle cell research. I said at the end of the day, what are we going to present? What is the outcome? You know, at the end of it all, what is the outcome and how will it solve national problem? How will it develop this country? You know, so it has to cover that and you communicate that. So look at the guidelines. It's clearly stated there on how to go about it. Structural requirements, you must state it, research category, thematic area, and so on. It's because of conflict of interest. I should be able to pull out one. If there's time, I'll pull out one for you. And then clearly identify your project's category. Is it science? Somebody failed because by the time he told me his title, I said it didn't belong to SETI. It should have gone to humanities. Do you understand? I told him that clearly. So these are the 3 basic areas. You have to think through it and find out where you belong. Cross-cutting is just as the name is, in between science and humanities. And I must tell you that science and humanities is more funded than the others. Your title, not equal or less than 20. Once we count it and it's more than 20, if it is 21, 0. So the scoring templates, they tell us to do 1 because it is I don't know whether they've improved on it. So you may just score 1 point. It's failure, it's 0, 0, 0, 0 across board. Executive summary has the words. Of course, the total is 1,500. I've talked about literature review in the other slide. What has existed before? And then your objectives. What's the new thing you want to present to us? We know SMART, this. Remember the title I said? We talked about vague and clear, distinct titles. So it must be distinct. Where am I going to do this? You can't cover the whole world. You can't say anti-COVID and make it vague. So is it in Nigeria? Is it in Southwest Nigeria? Is it among secondary school? Or you are developing, people are in sciences, this thing I'm developing, waste management. A lot of people look at SDGs and choose one of the SDGs or one or two to base their proposal. And then the conceptual framework is very technical. This is technical, and you must look at, search online, look at proposals that have passed, go to your friends that passed it. How did they do that framework? Then expected outcome can never be overemphasized at the end of it all. All right, so there's literature review, methodology, time frame, key performance indicators, monitoring and evaluation. Then your team. Some of us, we just go to the team. Once your team fails, it's concept note. Once your team does not align, it's zero. I've read one where younger researchers, they go to the senior one so that they'll be their PI. Those senior people don't have time, they don't read your proposal. So I think it was add and delete. He took somebody's template probably, and then maybe this person came from which university will I say? University of like that, so that you won't. And the PI came from University of X. Remember, the vice chancellor has to sign. The vice chancellor must sign on it. And the vice chancellor that signed did not, the decision is not the decision of the PI. Okay, it's not the decision of the PI. So you can see that one was fraud. So somebody can just, okay, let me even look at the team. And that goes. And then the budget, it is concept note, so it will be, it won't be full. But once we look at this criteria that I've put here, and it doesn't pass it, it goes. Or if it is, it's supposed to be 50 million. If you give us 50 million plus 1 naira extra, nobody, you just fail. At that level, you just fail. So it's good for you to work like getting maybe 49, 40 million or 40 point something. Once it is more than that, it goes. If there is additional funding, you declare it, So once your study has to do with animal and human beings, and there is need for ethical approval, we must have that. You must state that you're going to do that at the end of the day. Concept notes are evaluated by the monitoring team, which we belong to. When you pass, you now go on to the full proposal. So this is a summary of it. We've said concise, structured. For your concept requirement, these are the specific sessions that is required. Now, I want to go further before my time is up. Maybe more specific. This is more specific. What I gave you was general. More specific. Memorize this one, concise, structured. Now, this bit, imbibe, articulate the problem you tend to address. Highlight, remember the word highlight, because total was 1,500. Objectives and expected impacts. Showcase the innovative approach that you will use. Demonstrate feasibility. We also visit sites, and we visited sites where we saw that there is no way the money they gave them could have done what they wanted to do. Don't please anybody, and you don't have to do everything. You can do it in phases. Phase 1, I will address this problem. Phase 2, I will address. Some of them have shortchanged themselves, and unfortunately, there was inflation came in and it was bad for them. I really pity them. So these are the key places. Project title, not more than 20. You must reflect innovative. Executive summary, 600 words. Summarize aims, methodology, context, and budget. Key words, very important. Duration is no more than 24 months. Background information, justify why the problem matters and its relevance in Nigeria. During COVID, there were a lot of, it was easy to design, define the problems. And many people do visualize conceptual note, and I love what I see. I'm really impressed by the way Nigerians are writing these days. They will give you pictures, so that can be attached. Apart from what you've submitted, you can attach the flow of information and what you want to do, the approach you want to use. It's either they describe it or they draw a model, methodology that you want to use, the output indicators. How many workshops am I going to do? What, how many labs, how many samples will I handle, and all that. So for your Gantt chart, please always note that timeline. The impact to the society. In some time, people confuse background with literature review. There is overlap between background and literature review. Background and justification, you still have to refer to what has happened before and now. Even though this has happened, what is the problem? Visualize when you're you're writing your PhD and you want to write an abstract. The first few sentences talk about background and the problem. That's what that is looking at. But literature review is more expansive. For TETFund, we dream innovation, and we talk it, we dream it. We talk it, we dream it. So if it's not going to solve our problem, if it's not a new approach or new thing you're trying to produce, then you really forget about it. Your budget is not a time to make money. These days, when you are putting budget for traveling, be sure. Don't go and say, I want to work with people in Mina. By the time you go fly by air, how many times your money is going? So find out the best way and the best places to operate and who you want to collaborate with, so that you don't spread yourself too thin. These are examples I've seen. Your research team, multidisciplinary is what we look out for. Gender, they will always put gender there. We just see some people, you just attach people's names, the declaration, whether there are other support systems, you write it. Overall, it should not be more than 1,500 words. So from my experience, I don't know whether this would show or whether maybe when he talks, but we do have a scoring guide that I'll quickly show us and leave it there. How many have I done? 30 minutes? Hello, are you hearing me? Jesus is Lord.
Yes, we can hear you.
I hear you, not really.
You have 10 more minutes.
Oh, okay, and I was rushing. Let me share this scoring guide. I don't know whether it is proper, but I think I should share it. I hope I'm not sinning, Professor Akim. There is my scoring guide. Okay. This thing, I need it to be bigger. Can you see it? It's tiny somehow, but can you see it?
Yes, we can see it. We can see it.
All right. It's a bit tiny, but this scoring guide will help. Title. You can write it down because I'll find whether I can give it to you, but title carries 3 marks maximum. thematic area, because if we look at your title and you put the wrong thematic area, you know, those type of things, 2 marks. Background to the research. So you see this scoring, all these things must show in your concept note. This is concept note, not full proposal. This is concept note scoring. It's over 100. And there's a spreadsheet for it. And so that background and justification is 10 marks, but divided into small marks. The justification alone, relevance to Nigeria's development, 4 marks out of the 10 marks. Other small things, motivation, research gaps, ways to address, 2 marks, 2 marks. But look at how it's going to solve Nigerian problem or develop Nigeria, 4 marks. Statement of the problem. Stated, this is the problem. So statements of the problem 2, 10 marks. That statement should contain the scope, then the knowledge gap leading to the research questions you are asking. And then describing it clearly. Out of that 10 marks, divided into 2. If you describe it clearly, it's very clear, 5 marks. Then overall scope of problem that you want to solve, if you explain it well, 5 marks. So making 10. Objectives, 10 marks. So some of these things carry a lot of marks. 10 marks divided into 2. When I'm reading it and I don't see many people just go straight to the specific objectives. That means only 5 marks you will get. So please note, it's only 5 marks you will get. Your main objective is tied to your title. That main goal, that's what tells me what you want to do. Just getting it alone is 5 marks. I mean, yes. No, it's 4 marks, sorry. 4 marks. Then your specific, which should be smart, 6 marks. Remember, people don't have time. This thing made me not to, it came when I was disengaging from Chrisland and it affected me. I couldn't write my memoir because I was scoring concept. No, it just landed the same time. I know I didn't sleep for days and nights. You sat on your table. I think there was a day I sat for three days. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't read my memoir. I couldn't correct it. And I've not written it till now. So it's a lot of work. A lot of sacrificial work we're doing. Don't think that the money, sometimes I say the money they pay us is not commiserable to what we do. Then your research question. So you need to befriend those in social science. Some of them know some of these terms more than we do in science, you know. They know all these concept notes, concept framework. That's the way they are wired. So you might need to visit them to help you. Theoretical framework, they know it. Those in social science, they know it more than science people. So the research question, like I said, good enough, people have won these grants, so you can befriend them and look at their proposal. I don't have time. I have a few I've put here, like 2. I don't know whether there'll be time to share it. Brief literature review related to that work. Brief. And it should tailor it. Don't just make it abstract, not related. It must be related. The theoretical framework is very technical. You know, description of the theoretical basis of the research problem. You see, there's as if there is a lot of tautology here. You have concept, you have theoretical, you have research questions, you have objects. Somehow they are interwoven, you know, but you must differentiate them. Description of the theoretical, what's the theory behind what I'm going to do? If I'm talking about drug discovery, what's the theory? So this now means you have to have basic knowledge in that area. When you pick up projects that are engineering based, they have to bring out the theory, the basics of it, the formula of it, that leads to it. Then research methodology. When being a pharmacist, looking at drug discovery, if I say, a lot of people also delve into those areas. Oh, we want to look at plants with these properties. I remember when we visited a group in one university that we visited, site visit now. I looked at them. I said, this thing you are doing, you can't do it without those in pharmacognosy and all. They were just delving into an area they don't really have good knowledge about. Of course, the methodology was flawed. We could see they didn't even understand. You want to get a look for natural products for that will how will I put it? That will nullify drug addiction in youths. They couldn't, the method was really, really flawed. And I was wondering how they won that grant. It's possible they used people they know to write the grants, but they couldn't administer. It was obvious. So data collection, if you tell me now with 50 million, I will go to Abuja, I will go to Mina, I'll go to Zaria, and they will be wondering, how are you going to do it? So data collection, look at what is fundable. Expected results is another good one. People may just not even read anything. They look at your objectives, look at your method, they just go to expected result. At the end of the day, what will you deliver? Is it going to be an engineering tool? A lot of people are looking at agriculture, environmental, and when we go to what they fabricate, I say, how can this thing they fabricate make sense to Nigerians? So please look at it. Innovation, how different is it from other projects? Innovation is the meat in NRF. That's the gist. The estimated budget, personnel, and methodology. So we will look at that. Once it is 1 naira more, gone. References, not more than 5. Research team, a good blend. Seniority, at least minimum senior lecturer. The specialization, some people went to go and import people from other specialties that we know will not be able to do that work. Interdisciplinary should be there, and gender inclusion. So altogether 100. I will stop here for now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Chinedum Babalola. We are very happy, and I'm sure people have participants have jotted or typed their questions into the comment section. But please, we'll have to go to the second presentation so that we treat the questions together. Thank you very much. So we have the next presenter, Professor Christopher Akimbile. Please, you have the floor now, Professor Akimbile. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Thank you very much. Well, it's been a privilege to be here this morning. And I must thank the national president of this wonderful organization, OWSD, for this webinar. It's a privilege to stand before you and share some of our ideas with respect to TETFund concept notes and what have you. I listened with rapt attention to the presentation of Professor Chinedu. Of course, it's like we did the slides together, of course, and it's detailed and excellent. So I'll be talking briefly on the tips for preparing successful concept notes. She has actually captured substantially what we need to do. I will only just try and focus on a little area that perhaps maybe for time constraints she was unable to handle. But may I also inform you that just like he also mentioned, that the call for 2025 is out. It was declared open 1st of August and will be closing by the end of the month. So we still have, today is 9, I suppose. We still have about 3 weeks to prepare a concept note and submit it. And yes, for last year, of course, just before, immediately after the call for the 2025 was out, the federal government released information with respect to the 2024 call, the successful ones. Out of about 6,944 submissions, people who submitted for concept notes, only 158 proposals were funded. Only 158. And that tells us, if you look at it in terms of statistics, just 2.28% out of the total that was submitted were actually funded. Of course, the fee or the grants grew from, I think, 3.9 to 4.2 billion, which is an improvement over that of 2023. For 2023, out of about 5,000, above 5,000 concept notes that were submitted, 85 were funded. 85. So it's still below 5%. It is not to scare you, it is not to create fear down your spine. It's also to let you know that it is extremely competitive. And we need to really do our very best to ensure that what we are putting out is actually something that could be outstanding and could go all the way. You can imagine from 6,944 to just 158. And like Professor Nedu mentioned, in 2023, out of the 85 proposals that were funded by TETFund, FUTA had 17, and that makes us to be ranked first. This year, it's the turn of Footmina that also had 15 out of 158 proposals. ABU had 13, FUTA had 12, FUTO had 11, Abubakar Tafawa Balewa University had 10, and University of Ilorin actually had 8. If you look at these generations of universities in relative to the other ones, of course, polytechnics also benefited, monotechnics, and what have you, those that are government funded. So we really, really need to up our game, and that's why it's important that this webinar is instructive for us to actually take our notes and know exactly where to focus on. Mind you, you are working with just 1,500 words now. 1,500 words. I will also drop for us some of the disqualifying criteria so that you avoid them as much as you possibly can. Prof had actually mentioned some of them. If your title exceeds 20 words and things like that, you see more. There are some unspoken ones that I will also tell us this morning. So I need you to pay attention and be part of what is going on this morning. I hope you can hear me. And not only that,
Yes.
can see me too. Just bear with me. I'm in my study. All right. So there are 3 simple rules of life. The first one is, if you don't go after what you want, you will never have it. If you don't go after what you want, you're not going to have it. And if you don't ask, the answer is always no. Now, life will not give you what you want. You have to place demand on life to pull out what you desire out of life. And if you don't step forward, you will always remain in the same place. There are people who are moving, who are not making progress. Don't be in that category. Take steps forward, and then you keep making progress. But if you refuse to step forward, then stagnancy will be the order of the day. And these are critical questions you must ask. She has asked them in another way, but I have to put them in another way too for us. What is the purpose of your research? What exactly are you looking at? What do you intend to achieve? Is it a national cake that everybody should take advantage of? After all, it's our money. And then you also want to take your own bite out of it? Or what are you trying to achieve through your research? Are you trying to make a statement? Are you trying to publish? We have this slogan in academia: you publish or you perish. Or you are trying to actually solve a problem that will be of generational consequence. These are things that should bother your mind when you actually put together your concept note or your research. And then what do you want to learn or understand? How do you intend to go about it? Very important. What is the purpose of this research? Do you really have a full understanding? If you don't, what do you intend to do to fill the gaps, the knowledge gaps that you have? And then, are you supposed to solve a problem? You want to develop a new idea? You want to test a hypothesis? These are fundamental questions that you must ask. Just like Professor Chinedu mentioned, we believe so much in TETFund to solving problems and creating products, not basic research. In fact, one of the criteria is once your proposal is addressing basic fundamental whatever, you pass it, you disqualify it. Assessment of reliability of road transport network, people just drop it. Or we want to do structure questionnaire to look at how many people are going to the market. Those are not the kind of thing that TETFund will actually want to put 50 million or less on. And then what will be the end products? Are you creating a product or you are creating more problem? Are you just going to add to baseline information or you are going to create a kind of innovation that will bring about ingenuity that will ease burdens on some people? These are some of the fundamental things that you must, or questions you must consider before you embark on your research, let alone starting your concept note. And information I'll be given to us about concept note is just a concise document. And since it's a very small document, you must be able to convince. I had one colleague telling one of our mentees during the seminar that if you cannot speak and convince me in 5 minutes, if you speak for 50 minutes, I'm not going to be convinced. So you should be able to, with a compelling way, convince whoever is going to read you. You are not there, but your work should be there to speak for you. By the time they are taking it and they're looking at the title, they're looking at the thematic area, they're looking at the categories and all that, convince us that there's stuff in what you are doing. Because just like Prof mentioned, we have over 300 that we're going to be doing within a very strict time, so that because there are timelines for all the activities. Look at the one that is just coming out last week that have been concluded since last year. Okay, it's been concluded after the TETFund NRF monitoring screening and monitoring committee complete our assignment. You now send it to the TETFund group. They also start their own work, trying to compare, ensure that nobody smuggles anything in, and because of course human beings are at the end of every of the process. Not only that, you now take it to maybe the people in R&D, research and development, to also, have their input. It gets to the ES. The ES take it to the board. The board that approves goes to the Minister of Education before this. The process is quite long, and our bureaucratic networks in Nigeria could be slow and can be frustrating if you don't, if you're not a patient type. And in doing that, a lot of things are also taking place. Inflation is rising, prices are changing, things that maybe what you say you want to develop before the thing is eventually approved, maybe somebody in another country has done it. So you have to actually do a document that can actually be compelling and impressive enough to interest the would-be assessor to read. And then it also serves as a preliminary overview, which you use to gauge interest from potential funders before you can actually be called upon to submit your full proposal. And then think of it as a very brief, attention grabbing introduction to your project idea. Very important. All right. Now, what are the 4 components? I won't take time on this. I'd rather go on to the tips, but let's just talk about this. The first one is the purpose. What is an idea that you actually want us to fund in a compelling, attracting the attention of would-be funders, and in this case, talking about TETFund. And then the length, usually short. For TETFund, it is 1,500 words. And I want to emphasize that you must ensure it does not exceed that number. The first thing we look out for when we are scoring or screening the concept, the first thing that is in the back of the mind of everyone that will be scrolling, every member of that committee, well, just 54. And you're going to be screening 6,944, and it's growing year in, year out. If you have 5,000 in 2023, now we're having nearly 7,000 in 2024. I can assure you that by the time this call is ending at 31st of August, we should be hitting something around 8,000 with just 54 members doing it. Out of which some of them are also busy elsewhere. Among us, we have the ES of the NUC and a few other vice chancellors in other institutions and what have you. So the time is not just there to start looking for the meat or the novelty in one, you just bury it somewhere, you know. It should be compelling enough that at a glance we can see that this has stuff, this has substance, this has quality, this is novel, that yes, it can be cashed back by TETFund. So you must ensure it does not exceed that, because very, very important. And the third one are the key elements. Okay, you should look at the way to articulate the challenge in a way that the targeted beneficiaries can actually identify what you are talking about. I don't need to be a pharmacist to know that by the time I read or assess your proposal, you are actually developing a drug that cures hypertension. Of course, just by the way, my wife is a pharmacist, and so therefore, by virtue of our living together for over 20 years, there are some things I do and I know about that people begin to ask me, do you sell drugs or are you a pharmacist and all that? I'm an engineer, and so my thinking is about design, structural design. How do you give me structural design, give me electrical design, give me system design? And so when I'm not seeing any design and engineering setup, I begin to wonder, what exactly is it trying to do? And be careful that you don't oversimplify things in a way that people will be thinking that your proposal is too elementary for anybody to achieve. That look, instead of bringing it to NRF, why don't you take it to IBR? And then it is not a replacement for full proposal, it's just a precursor. So when eventually you are successful, you have to build on what you have convinced people with, because the same set of people that reads the concept note are the one that are going to read your proposal. And mind you, it is in the back of their mind. Well, we may not be able to store everything in our state or in our head, but by the time we are reading, oh, I've come across this before. Are there changes? And we may need to compare notes and go back and say. So if you have changed, or if the direction of your research had actually changed or altered or deviated, and it's no longer the one that was assessed, then you are just inviting disqualification. So we have to really understand these key elements or components in as we prepare our concept. This is the call. I'm sure you are aware that is out. So I'm sure we are working on it now. There are about 30 thematic areas. I think one or two was added to actually capture a group that was not captured, have an issue. And then under three major categories, like Professor Babalola also mentioned, the biggest chunk of the proposals come from SETI. That is science, engineering, technology, and innovation. That's where we have the highest number of members. That's why you have highest number of proposals, both in terms of concept note and full proposals. Of course, cross-cutting, yeah, excuse me. And then we have the humanities and social sciences too. And if you read what the director of uh, publicity brought out in TETFund, if you see the chunk, the way the funds were actually disbursed or allocated, SETI took well over 60% of the total chunk, about 2.4 billion or something, and then HSS, and then cross-cut in that order. So you must now know exactly which area do you really fit in. Are you in science? Are you in social sciences? Is your own such that it can fit into any of these two and come under cross-cutting? Think about it and situate it appropriately. Okay, very important. And then let's see the tips. This is where I'm going, and I think we should pay close attention to these tips. I think I have about 12 of them. So I will spend some time on each of these and address them appropriately so that you know exactly the mind of would-be assessor when you are preparing your CN. You must have a personal access to the core flyer and study. Study makes an exact man. Do not assume. Someone told me that assumption is the lowest form of knowledge. Don't assume. You may be thinking that what came out last year is what is out now. It is not correct. It is not correct. There were some adjustments, there were some additions that you need to pay close attention to. So get a copy, print it. Don't just check it on your tiny phone and all that. It make it big so that you can read in between the lines and know exactly what is expected of you, because that is where the disqualification will start from. All right. You must also situate your proposed research to the most appropriate category and thematic area. There are some that were meant to be inserted that were found in cross-cutting. Of course, it will not be disqualified, but you make it difficult for the assessor to be unbiased, because by the time we are scoring, there is a whole lot of items to consider, and you find out that what they put in one of the scoring sheets is not part of the proposals or the concept note that you have, and then you start calling, you start asking questions. By the time it's sent to you, already you already have a biased mind. Why is this going to another place? Why is this? It will take God for you to be fair in your judgment when that is the only one that is actually delaying your submission, and then is actually making you look as if you are not cooperating or flowing along the flow of the network for assessors. So you can ask questions from senior colleagues, people who are members of the NRF TETFund um, screening and monitoring in your institution, that this theme, this topic, this aim, this objective, and all that, which category do you think it's most appropriate suited that we can submit? You are the one that will do the submission, of course. It's not going to be by paper. And of course, by now, I'm sure you are familiar with how to go about. You have to register on the TETFund portal before it allows you access to submit. So that is very important. Then, next, be guided by the rules of engagement with respect to restrictions. If you look at the pages on the TETFund platform, it's just 4. The first one talks about a summary, your budget, your information, blah, blah, blah. The next one, your title, your background. Prof have done extremely well in trying to separate background information, background of your research, and literature review, because a good number of researchers unfortunately confuse that, and that actually affected their gradings. You saw the grading criteria and the sheets that was shared a while ago. The introduction had its own mark, the background of the study had its own mark, the methodology had its own mark, and that is how people assess, because you will not be assessed by just one member. You will be assessed by minimum of 2 members that may not know one another. It is only if their marks vary substantially that they get to know one another and harmonize. They must have the same points. I mean, they must have the same opinion on your work. That the difference between assessor A and assessor B must not be more than 10 marks. So if I'm going to assess a particular proposal and I score the proposal 40%, for instance, and Professor Chinedu is assessing the same proposal and he scores the proposal 62%, then we will know one another. Why are you scoring high? Why am I scoring low? Where are the areas where we have divergence in our scoring? And then we talk together, we harmonize it. We must be on the same page. And we're also at liberty to disagree completely. So if she's not shifting her ground and sticking to the mark she gave in an area where maybe I have scored very low, it is the chairman of the committee that will have the final say on that. So it is not that we are reaching a compromise. No, we don't reach compromise. We agree based on intelligent discourse on why we are scoring. I've had to have such meetings with a particular professional colleague that is not in a core agric engineering, just gave 1 mark. I said, no, this is not it. And I explained what I saw that resulted in the way I graded. He said, Prof, you are right, you are right. And then he adjusted his mark close to mine. We don't need to agree on the same mark. We have a liberty of plus or minus 10. And there are areas where I said, no, Prof, you didn't get it in that area. This is what I think is good. This is good in this area. This is good. This is of national importance or national significance. And I said, okay, that's true. For every mark, there must be, particularly when the gap is wider than 10, then you must justify your marks. So nobody award marks. Nobody gave marks. You must score based on the guidelines that have been given. And then if your words are above 1500, if you have 1501, it will be disqualified. The form should be designed in a way that once it exceeds 1500, it should not allow you to submit. They said no. Sincerely, some of the ones I assessed, I saw people submit a concept note that are in excess of 4,000 words, particularly for a which I'm not going to. So that thing will flash it at the top of the concept that this is the number of words. So outrightly, you don't need to open it. Don't waste your time. You disqualify. If the figures and tables are also such that they do not tally, you don't disqualify on that. It only reduces the mark, but be guided by the rules. Now, you must also ensure that your research team is grounded in the work to be carried out. She also said that you don't choose based on sentiments. You choose based on competence. Okay? No, he's my sister. He's my Professor Mrs. Olajibe is choosing and put my name because she knows me. And put Professor Mrs. Chinedu because she knows her. Nah, that's the way to do it. What are they bringing on board? What exactly will be their contributions? How are they going to add value to that work? Because these are questions we will ask eventually if your concept no flies and we ask you to submit your full proposal. So you don't put your friends there. You don't put your spouse. We've had people that came and presented, and one of the PI is the husband, one of the members is the wife, and we ask, what is the contribution of your wife? She's going to be this, she's going to be that, and we were looking at this. You want to share it as you want to make it a family cake, from national cake to family cake, and that actually affected the mind of the assessor actually, because it was like just pack his friends. Let's this there's money, let's share it. Now let your research address issues that are of national importance and relevance. I was told there's a document called the National Research Agenda for Nigeria. If you can lay a hand on that, so that you ensure that what you are doing has a national significance. We are not saying that local or regional whatever is also not good, but don't do things that time it's been assessed, somebody the next town does not know about it, or it's of no usefulness to the next town. Like it was also mentioned earlier, there's nothing new under heaven. So no matter the novelty that you are thinking you are bringing on board, it should be of such that a benefit to a larger percentage of people or population. Now, you must also avoid, like plague, our disqualification criteria. And this is some of them that we didn't mention before now. Number one is you do not include the head of your institution or another institution. Okay? Don't include the head of your institution. Don't try to boost your chances by putting your vice chancellor or the deputy vice chancellor. There are people that were included. By the time the concept was submitted, they were not the vice chancellors. But by the time we are considering it, the fellow had now been appointed. It is permitted. It will be verified. But if someone who have been VC, in fact, the VC will advise you that in your own best interest, it is good you leave him or her out so that you can have the high chance of actually being considered. Number two, don't include any NRF TETFund committee members. The last call, I think my name appeared about 4 or 5, and I told those people, you are just inviting this qualification. Of course, I contributed to it. I was part of the research team. We formulated the concept and all that. But for the conflict of interest, no NRF member is permitted to either be PI or member of any concept note. So that does not mean that you cannot take your concept note to them for them to help you to look through and have this professional touch and the guidance and all that. But their nation not appear because it will be disqualified. We've talked about word count exceeding 1,500 words. It will also be disqualified. When you have a budget that is less than 5 million or greater than 50 million, it will be disqualified. How do we mean by that? We begin to think that if what you are looking for is just 5 million, then you apply 50 million where nobody has a mandate in TETFund to approve anything above 50. They won't even approve 50 million for you, let alone having something that is above that. I have someone that submitted a proposal, I forgot the name of the institution now, and it was in the neighborhood of 1 point something billion. I was actually considering it. And after some time, I went to check the budget, and this is outrageous. You want to bring this kind of equipment? In fact, one of such equipment will cost more than 550 million. That the total budget that is available. And I went back to the budget to find out that his was in the neighborhood of billions. I said, well, sorry, you're in the wrong place. Go to Mercato or George Foster or what have you that can actually give such money. And then it is explicitly stated in the call that your PI must not be below the rank of senior lecturer or its equivalent in any other TETFund beneficiary institutions. In the university, a lecturer one cannot be a PI. In other, I think a principal lecturer also in polio. I'm not sure. I'm not conversant, with their whatever. But it's had to be the rank of senior lecturer and above that can be a principal investigator. And then, if you submit a previously published research, there's a way that the members will find out. The team where myself and Professor Chinedu worked. Whenever that person comes or the group comes and they want to, the first thing she does is to find out whether that work is in existence before. And unfortunately, I wouldn't want to say the fellow do not know. I think it's just a way of trying to be smart on Nigerian government and taking advantage or undue advantage of some of this laxity. We found out that some people actually brought the work that had been published before. We found out that some people have brought the work that they did at their doctoral levels outside of the country, which has been published. They have the thesis, they have the data, and all that. And they just want to come and repeat it and get more money. We've also found out that people are bringing their students' projects that the students should do, or research that have been used to get higher degrees, either within and outside Nigeria. These are being checked, and I can assure you, we may not be able to have 100% certainty that we look through and we are sure that the current set of researches that are being funded do not have one or two of such, but I can assure you that substantially this one has been reduced. So you have to be careful with that. So in preparing your own concept note, you should also look and find out whether the work has not been done elsewhere before. The search engines are there for you to actually find that out. And then also try to resubmit works that have been previously funded by TETFund. Maybe if TETFund funded it in 2000 or 2001, and you are bringing it 2021, sorry, or 2020, and you are bringing it 2026. Somehow, they found out. Okay, and then submitting previously funded work by other funders that have been published too. Please don't do that. If you are caught, it will just lead to disqualification. There are also very shallow researches, or the one with no local, regional, or national relevance. I've mentioned that earlier on. if you are doing baseline assessment, basic research, and all that, it may not fly with TETFund. Now, when the supply information based on the title of supply do not mix up with the background of the research, your justification, and all that. So what we are saying here is that you should supply your information based on the title. In other words, if you are going to put under SETI, let the title reflect that SETI is the most appropriate place to put it. And then don't mix up background. She's mentioned that earlier on with justification, with introduction, with literature review. They don't mean the same thing. So they are not, nobody is repeating mere repetition or tautology. They have significance to your work, and people are actually conscious of it, and you know we'll ensure that we keep to that. Also, don't use old references except they are foundational references that after that nobody had worked on them. But sincerely, you can still get references that are less than 3 to 4 years old. You should also consider the following in the choice of your research team members: the gender, Prof mentioned it, your institutions, your qualifications, the competence, and geographical spread. As you are considering geographical spread, you should also do that with wisdom. She had mentioned it. If you are picking somebody from Usman Fodio in Sokoto, and you are picking somebody from Futa, you are picking from University of Calabar, you are also picking from University of Adamawa, and then you say you want to do your work in Ibadan. By the time you start thinking, in fact, they will query you. You are put the money you are going to put on travel will be much more than what you should use in actually doing the research. So why that may not be a plus, as it were, don't also restrict it to your locality. Every team member is just coming from Futa, for instance, or from Futa and Ibadan. You Futa, you are Ife alone. You don't even have anybody from the middle belt, maybe Lauren or Makodi or something. Those nearby or University of Abuja or something. So it has its own pros and cons, but you should find a middle way. And then your budget should be such that it can sufficiently execute more than 90% of your work when you factor in inflation. Because when we went on monitoring, quite a number of people were complaining about inflation because they gave the upper limit of what they wanted to do for their work. And by the time the delay in the release of the money came, and so on and so forth, it couldn't actually do much of what they wanted to do. And fortunately or unfortunately, that makes my team that went to a particular institution in Southwest, we had to blacklist one PI because you collected money for equipment and so on, and order for just, I mean, you budgeted for just, I think, one laptop or two. But by the time the money came, the first tranche came, inflation had caught up with them, couldn't buy the equipment, and diverted the money to buy 6 laptops. And we ask, apart from 6 laptops, what other thing did you buy for use work? It was blabbering. In fact, the university complained about that particular researcher that it has always been difficult checking that kind of person. So, in my recommendation, we just say, well, I don't advise that TETFund should release the other tranches because obviously that is misappropriation. It was not in your original document that you are buying 6 laptops, and you say everybody took their own home, and many of them are not even on campus when we came. Is it that they are not aware that we're coming, or what? And you want us to untrust, believe you when we were told by TETFund to cite every equipment that was purchased by TETFund money, and there must be TETFund engraved on all the equipment, not written with pen or chalk that can be erased. So ensure that when you are doing it, don't put yourself in a corner that you are budgeting for something that in 2 weeks that price can change and you will need more than 50 million to complete the work. It doesn't go well. It doesn't show wisdom actually on the part of that team. Now get at least another expert in your field to proofread your work. It must be free from syntax, grammatical, editorial, and technical error. Those things are also some of the conditions or criteria that affect scoring. When you are reading and the grammar is such that you are already having a headache, you're already tired, and you are reading, and yet you couldn't, you begin to imagine your undergraduate student won't write like this. It affects, you wouldn't want to even complete it. And then if you do, you just find a way of actually scoring and move. And remember, it is competition. It is competitiveness. So you don't you don't do a shampoo. I just give statistics. Out of over 5,000 that submitted, only 85 were funded in 2023. Out of over 6,000, nearly 7,000 that were submitted last year, only 158. So the competition is intense. And so you have to pay out of the best. Your methodology, she had mentioned it, very important. It should be self-explanatory, it should be spot on, it should be easily reproducible. You don't put things that will be like, you should always have it at the back of your mind that, okay, what if you are in the area of pharmaceutical or medicine now, like medical sciences, you should have it at the back of your mind that maybe it is not how many people are in medical sciences that are in TETFund that will assess. So do it in a way that somebody in your field can easily read and understand what you're doing. And perhaps they give to somebody in biology, for instance, though not in medical sciences, but also in life sciences, can also understand what you are writing. If you're in engineering, do it in a way that what if somebody in mathematics is asked to read your work? That is physical science or statistics. He should be able to understand. He may not be able to understand in details some of those terminologies and all that, but once he reads the methodology, he should have a faint idea of what they're going to do. And of course, very important, before you submit, you pray for favor, because there's something that prayer cannot do before the will be assessor. It might be just when the guy is just refreshed and he's just like, let me just balance. And the first one you open is yours. Wow, there are many things that affect the way we think and reason and score. It might be that you've just had a bad day and then you are going to assess. And then you have the first one you're going to open. You'll be somebody who had a proposal or a concept note that is full of errors, that was not well organized. And to cap it all, every member of that team is a female, no male. And everybody is from his or her own institution. You begin to wonder, why are they doing this? And to make the matter worse, the guy picked up his phone and checked some of that work online and found out that a good number of what you want to do in your objectives have been done. That may affect his mood throughout that day for whatever he's going to do. Or maybe the one is just opening, wow, excellently prepared, excellently presented, and spot on, and something that can be of national interest. That can also affect the way it's going to go throughout that day. So these are some of the tips that I think we should take advantage of. As I conclude, I don't know if my time is up, but I'm sure I'll round up shortly. I said the most powerful thing in life is your thinking, and it has the ability to change any situation. I'm sure with the presentations today from Professor Chinedu, myself, you probably should be thinking, I should get you thinking, what are the things we are doing wrongly that is not, it is not everything about politics. No, don't mind them in TETFund. I'm not saying it does not exist, but everything is not about it. They know the people they want to fund. They have their own team. Yeah, Nigeria is such that we think like that, but think differently and then have a different approach to how you're going to do things, and you begin to get results. You cannot be doing something wrong and expect a different result. And the most powerful enemy is your ignorance. It does not die by fire. For those of us who are pastors, it dies by study. So study hard, get to know more, and dig deep, get these materials, and let them guide you as you prepare the concept note. This is my parting shot. Life is like riding a bicycle, and to keep your balance, you must keep moving. Here's my contacts. There's my links. I hope I didn't bore you. Thank you so very much for your time. Over to you, Professor Olaji.
Thank you very much, Professor Akim. We applaud you. We thank you so much for the insightful presentation. I'm sure we have questions here, and we are further being enlightened. I want to say, before going into the questions, we have 11 questions here, which we'll take in sections. We just take them. And but before then, I want to say that we have all been enlightened with this presentation, and I want to sincerely thank again Professor Babalola and Professor Akim for their presentations. Before going to the question and answers, I want to add that the winning of TETFund NRF grants is purely based on merit. It's purely based on merit. You don't need to know any staff in TETFund or anyone in government to submit successful concept notes. We have all listened to how the concept notes are being scored. So you don't need to know anybody before you submit concept notes and eventually win TETFund NRF grants. Myself, the national chairperson of OWSD, I won a TETFund NRF grant in 2019 without knowing anyone. I submitted for a project titled Immobilization of Microbes and Enzymes, Innovative Technique for Remediation of Water Contaminated with Bisphenol A, F, and S. So we have all been enlightened and by our erudite professors. I want us to take a step further, even after answering the questions, by putting what we have learned into action. Let everyone be encouraged, every one of us, let's be encouraged to write good concept notes for this year's call. And by the grace of God, I'm sure we will be successful. So now we go to our question. The first question here says, does TETFund consider cases of plagiarism when looking into concept notes and proposal? Anyone could answer. That could be for either Professor Babalola or Professor Akim. Does TETFund consider cases of plagiarism when looking into concept notes and proposal?
Well, let me say this, that first of all, TETFund does not TETFund is not the one in charge of concept notes. It is TETFund National Research Fund Screening and Monitoring Committee, and members of that committee were drawn from Nigerian universities. TETFund decided to allow the committee to do their work, screen, call for submission, bring their proposals, screen the proposal, and recommend for funding. The reason TETFund does is to fund. It is we, our members, that actually do the, and like Prof mentioned, you don't need to know anybody. If you go to TETFund now and help me, nobody will help you because they will refer you back to the committee that they are the ones doing it. They don't have any input in it. So yes, with respect to the plagiarism check and all that, the committee does it. I think I mentioned it, that at every given point in time, for the concept note, it is checked to be sure that you are not repeating an existing work, the one that have been done before by you or any other person, that have been published, or you are picking somebody else's work that has been done somewhere that have won an award, and you are just changing the name. And because this is a global village now. The world is a global village. Whatever you do now and you put it online, before you know it, somebody in US, in Canada, in UK can pick it, and that will actually dent the integrity of the donor agency. So that's why we do our due diligence to ensure, as much as we possibly can, that you are not repeating an existing work and that the plagiarism, whatever, is such that you are not actually violating the rules. I think there's a certain percentage beyond which you could not fly. We may not have, I'm not sure if let me not speak for the leadership, but I think something is done along that line. You can't just push anything to TETFund and the committee will take it to Ukraine and sinker. There's a preliminary check to be sure that what you are bringing is a bit novel and is something that we can consider. I don't know if Professor Chinedu has another thing or additional information along that line.
Okay, yeah, what I want to say is, yeah, the plagiarism is a very apt question. I would say, to be honest with you, I really don't like plagiarism. That was why when we were handling the full proposal, my own job was just to search online. First is to search the PIs or the authors, and then what they have done. Has it existed? Because some of them will tell you it has never happened. It's a lie. You know, it might have happened in other countries. You now want to do it in Nigeria. So you have to design it in a way that will fit Nigeria. So when you are writing your concept notes and you're going to chat GPT and all of that, once we search, and searching these days is not difficult, it will be seen. We may not use plagiarism checker. We don't have time for all those things. We just put keywords online and it will pop out. First, I will even check what's your Google Scholar, check all that you have published. Some of them have done the work. They've done the work, oh, they've published it, and they are presenting it to TETFund. We went on site visit, we saw people, old equipment. You couldn't have bought it within the past 1 year, and they'll be telling you they just bought it. So integrity is also there, and plagiarism is part of integrity and morals. So it can be checked. It depends on who is reviewing, if the person has time, and I think it's easy to check, but not using plagiarism check. But if people have it, maybe they can check it. Plagiarism checker would be to screen all, maybe the 6,000 projects to see whether you are writing what somebody else has written. I don't think there is a provision for that. I don't know whether that answers you.
Yes, thank you very much, Professor Babalola and Professor Akim. I think we have answers to that question. The second question says, is there a concept note form with the key points to be addressed, where the key points to be addressed are listed? Is there a concept note form? I don't think there's no form. I think I can answer that. There's no form for
well, I think there is okay, let me read out something here.
A template. There is a template.
There's a template. So you have that, you can call that a form. There's a template. The template starts with, I don't want to show you people the project, but the template starts with file number, title, thematic area, category, estimated budget, background of research, statements of the problem. I picked out one that stood out for me. Statement of the problem, objectives of the research. And unfortunately, one of the ones I checked, there was no main objective. So you're just going to get 5 marks maximum. One has only specific objectives. You're supposed to have the general objective. And I found that lacking in the one I did last year. I found that lacking. So people just go straight into the specific objectives. And then there's research questions. So you must know that we don't go and repeat what you put in A inside B. So a great understanding of these differences. Research question followed by literature review, followed by theoretical framework. Some of them would draw a device. So you have to go and look at the drawing, but they will explain it. And then there is research methodology. And then there is expected result. There is innovation. Then you have references, 5, just 5. And you have the name of the principal investigator, you put the gender there. So what makes it difficult for me is that when you put the principal investigator, some of them will not put the department. It becomes fuzzy. We don't know where he's coming from. We don't know which area of specialty. Then they have the research team. Please, when you are writing them, put their departments, their areas of specialty. Are they professors? Are they senior level? Once it is vague, then everything is vague. What are their positions? Senior lecturer, lecturer 1, this one, highlighted, male, female. The departments will help us know whether it's really interdisciplinary. The addresses will help us know whether it is multi-institutional. And then once there's attachment, you would have put it there. So we go and check that attachment. I think that's what we have there. But I'll try and tease it out when I'm submitting my slide. Yes,
okay.
Prof.
Yes, thank you very much. We have the next question. Is the TETFund call annually in August?
Professor Akim, I don't think so. I don't think.
No, it's
Over.
not enough. You know, a lot of factors go into the call.
Mm.
First, the committee works on the call, like we did, and then push it to TETFund to make it public. In fact, you will recall there was a time that a false call was actually put to the
Yeah,
public that does not have a
yeah,
date.
yeah,
That was a leakage from what we did. Okay,
yeah.
so we do our job and push it to third fund. They are the one that has a prerogative to decide when is it going to start because they are the one that will pay. They are the one that will go to the press. They are the one that will go to the media and all that. So it's not maybe if in the last 2 years it's been like this, it may be a kind of a coincidence. 2024 call ought to have been out ordinarily by March. But because of the bureaucracy and all that, that's why and then that one just had the board that is just settling down and things like that. So a lot of things actually go into that, but it's not usually in August.
Okay. Thank you very much for the answer to that question. Then this next question says, good morning and thank you for the insightful presentation. What percentage of AI use is allowed, if applicable? What percentage of AI is allowed, if applicable?
I think this is related to. Go on.
Yes, I'm asking if Professor Babala is related to
Okay,
the. Okay.
I think it's related to the plagiarism one in a way. Yeah, you know that AI also now has tools for determining AI write-ups, and I don't think somebody has time to do that. But if you have time, you can just copy and paste now into AI, and it will help you know whether there is AI. AI is not bad if it is well used. The AI you can think for the AI. Let me use that word. You know what you want to do. Think for the AI and tell AI what you want. If I tell AI now that I want to design a draw, I have already information. I've got this sample, I've got this knowledge, I've got this information from my research. I want to go forward and see how I can move it into clinical trials, into a product, maybe capsules. And so I'll have to feed AI what I already know for it. And once AI gives you something, the references can be so bad, so false. So you have to go. I prefer to use my Google search, get information. I can just tell AI, help me arrange this information. Let me put it into better language. I already have information. It's just help me rephrase it. Do you understand? But if you now go and generate proposal from AI, once we plug the reference, it will show, And again, when we check that kind of information online and it's not there, then we throw it out. We throw it out. Over, Prof. I don't think we have time to be checking
Very much.
AI.
Yeah, I know. I don't think the explanation is absolute. Don't let it because once it is discovered that it's AI that does it, of course, it's calling for disqualification.
It's
But yeah, you can
it's
put in
actually a crime.
information. It's a crime. But if you are able to have your own in a way that maybe just to help modify, maybe
Yeah,
grammar, whatever, editorial,
that's what I
yeah,
do. I have my
that's okay.
information, I give it to AI, just polish it for me. But most AI references are bad. They are false. Yeah, I saw a question. Are references included in the expected? Yes, they are. In the expected 1,500, they are. They are just 5 references, but they're included. Like he said, somebody can just go to that your paper and said, okay, let me use the references alone. Let me just check these 5 references. It depends on the side you wake up, like he said. Just plug the 5 references and see whether they're genuine. That's all. And once they are false, over. So Hello, are we still on?
Professor Olajibe, maybe the network.
Yeah, we're still on.
Oh, sorry. I didn't know I muted myself. I said there's a comment here before the next question. The person said, if we have been taught like this in the past years, we would have won so many grants. Thank you, Professor Akim, and we also thank Professor Babalola. So thank you so much for your presentations. Before we go to the next question, says, what should be, okay, my number of references that has been answered, 6, 7. Can a principal
It's not 6, 7, it's 5.
Yes, no, I'm just saying the question 6 is
All
also on.
right.
So the 7th question now. Can a principal investigator assemble a team outside their field of research to conduct a study?
That's a dicey one.
But they can't now. I think all of us can answer it. You know, when I started and I showed my first PowerPoint, I said from R&B, why are we doing research? Are you getting it?
Yes.
Why? Is it, why are you doing it? You know, is it survival research? That sounds like survival. Is it survival research? Is it just you just want to rack your brain research, or is it Why would I read one? This person is obviously not an expert in it. All the work should be done by O&G people. He is in microbiology. He went to go and gather people, professors in O&G who probably will not even know the science of what he wants to do. A private practitioner in town who is practicing in town, and he was the only one that was not in the medical team. He's in microbiology, and the gaps could not be tied together. So why would you want to do something you're not an expert in? It's fraud.
Thank you
Does it
very
mean you
much.
don't have anything in your area that you can focus on?
That's a good question. So let's move to the next question. Thank you, Professor Babalola. Can a proposal that was submitted before and failed be resubmitted after modifications?
Certainly.
Okay.
Certainly, you can resubmit a disqualified proposal. Just modify it. Look at that's some of the things, the challenges that people have had with the committee over the years, is that there has not been any reason for disqualification given to the principal investigators. And we're trying to do that. But even at that, you can still look through and perhaps identify the gaps and then improve upon it. I've seen someone that did that in FUTA, excuse me, that submitted, it failed, spoke with me, I said, just polish it again and send it. And this time around it flew. So it is possible.
Okay. Thank you. Then another one, the next one says, what about research that has been conducted before and we try to change the sample space, e.g. environmental related issues? What about research that has been conducted before and we try to change the sample space, such as environmental issues?
I'm not sure if mere changing of... Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes. I'm not sure mere changing of sample space is enough to repeat an existing or a previously done research. There must be more than just the sample space. Are you looking at other criteria that were not considered in the previously done research in addition to changing the space? Of course, if it's been done, let's say somewhere outside of Africa and you are bringing it to Nigeria, the environment, the difference in the environment in itself is actually new, as it were. But what other things are you putting in that we may not make any member who is going to assess the concept to think that what we are just coming to do is to repeat what has been done maybe in Europe or in the US or something, in Nigeria. Because there's no novelty if you are just coming in with a research that's been existing before and you just change the sample space or you increase the number of your trials and all that and still do exactly the same thing. There must be more than that before before such can actually be accepted. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Prof.
So the game is novelty, innovation. That's the game. So if you are expanding, then add something novel to it.
Thank you, Ma. Then this question says, what's the number of figures and tables allowed in concept notes?
Well, I don't think there's a specific number, but from the columns prepared on the template, you can upload about 4 or 5, but you don't have to utilize everything. Your Gantt chart is very important. If you are doing design, your experimental design is very important. And maybe one other information that can also be of interest that can actually support what you are doing. If you are loading that with figures, you may be surprised that your would-be reviewer may not even check your figures. Will be satisfied only with your presentation and will be okay. And some, even with the figures, is not convinced that you have the capacity to do the work. So the number is not an advantage, as it were. It is what is relevant to what you are presenting that is more important.
Okay. I must tell you the truth that I don't think I was even checking any tables. Let me tell you, once you see that concept note, you will know the story. I opened one now, less than 1,000 words. So vague. Not that you need to populate nonsense, but just looking at it was really vague. Some people rush to just submit anything. So once look, concept note is just concise. When you see it, wow, it shows you what you're looking for. In short, the title alone is interesting. So I don't think I had time to look at any tables, or I did a few times. And sometimes even those figures, I mean those framework that they draw, if it's engineering, to be so complex. But when I read what you want to do, I can tell how concise it is.
All right. Thank you very much, eminent speakers. The next question says, are private universities part of NRF grants? If no, how can they benefit?
You know, I was in private university. I was in private university until a few months ago. They do not. So what I did, the one I had, you just add, I mean, TETFund permits that for now, that private universities can collaborate. So they won't be PI, but they can collaborate with PIs. There was somebody we interviewed during the full proposal, Prof. And I think there were two of them came anyway. The PI read a university, a public university, and the other one is from a private university. And that other one is fantastic. Is a brain.
Yeah, I remember.
So the two of them work together, and we check. We normally check. We checked and saw that they publish together. They do research together. But it's obvious that one from private is maybe the real
owner of the idea.
Owner of the idea. But we looked at it. They work together. They publish together. They do things together. Well, we just passed.
They have the full graphs. They had the full graphs of the work.
Yes, and they were able to. You could see synergy between two of them. Some people come no synergy. Some people come, they just bring one small boy. The small boy will bring one professor. So,
is that right?
So those ones, yeah, they can just be co-authors, co-investigators. Sorry.
Is that right? Thank you very much, Mandy. Thank you also, Professor Akimbele. The next question is, can a team forward their concept notes? Wow. Can a team forward their concept note to you for assessment before submission, please?
Time.
That's the question for you, for both
Time.
of you. Forward their concept note to you for assessment.
They can try, but I won't promise. They can try. If I have time, I can. If I don't have time, I mean, I won't promise, but they can try.
That's not a promise, but please, if you want to forward your concept note to our speakers, they said you can, but it's not a promise. Thank you. Then the next question, is it possible to revise? This has been trashed. It has been answered before. So another one, how do we know NRF committee members and exclude them if they don't tell us?
If you are compiling, I told you that I'm involved in a team. So they are meeting today. A project I've been involved for almost a year. We were not even looking at TETFund like that. We're still going to present it to submit it for other grants calls. Immediately, we started thinking about TETFund. I told them that there's conflict of interest. I cannot be part of it. You have a team. How will you just go and import somebody's name? It's not good. It's not morally right. If that person, if you call that person straight away, it will tell you.
In addition, I think every NRF member will tell you. Yeah. Because if he or she does not, it then means that your work is dead even on arrival. So they will tell you, I told you I floated through and I told them they should exclude my name. I submitted the name of whoever I think is capable enough to do as much as
this is what we're doing now. Yeah, I submitted the name of my mentee who is the best, and that's the person that is now
I told them, no, you can't put my name. We are just 54 in Nigeria, and in Southwest, we are only 4 in the entire Southwest. Myself, Rosine,
are you serious?
Yes, we are just 4. Myself, you, Professor Farumbi, and Professor Tony Ogudipe. That's all.
That's bad one.
Former VC of Unilag. That's all. In the entire southern Nigeria, we are 10. We are told,
we have a lot of people from the north. We have a lot of people from the north.
Over 45 from the north. But most of them are vice chancellors, former VCs,
vice chancellors,
VCs, and all that. So you
will
know.
Akim is one of our young intellectual members.
I guess I'm the baby of the group.
Yes, he is. I'm very smart too.
So you will
that's
know.
Bad though. That's bad. That is highly skewed.
We've been talking about it. You know, I was told, Prof, at some point that because I talk, I have been marked that I talk too much in the interest of the region. Somebody from the north told me
we're just 4.
We're just 4. And they were trying to skew us out. And I said, look, this is not fair.
And that's where you have the brains. They are skewing all that. If you go to that place, filled with northerners.
Also, people who are retirees, who are, former VC, 2 times VC and all that. They won't do anything.
And I don't even know whether they are doing the thing well. God help us.
Maybe they'll get somebody else to do it for them and that's it.
Exactly. So they don't stress.
We don't worry. Whoever you are putting, you can even go through your national president. I'm sure she will know one or two, or ask people who are members, is there anybody here that is a member? But they will tell you. Nobody will, because it's going to jeopardize your chances of winning. If he or she keeps quiet as a member, once we see that name, we disqualify. We don't need to go. And we know ourselves because we meet regularly.
Thank you very much. We thank you for the answers to the questions. And so we don't have to include NRF committee members in our team, whether from the north or from the south. We don't have to include any of them. And then there is a question here. Is there any representation of colleges or polytechnic in the NRF screening committee?
There is. Every stakeholders, Poly, College of Education, NBTE, even the Nigerian Defense Academy, every of those critical stakeholders in the education sector are represented. NUC, colleges of education, board, and everyone is represented.
Wow, thank you very much. So, and the next one is, please can a beneficiary of PhD TETFund scholarship also be allowed to be part of TETFund NRF grant writing team?
Yeah, you can. Your PhD
No,
does
but it may
not
not be
prevent you.
PI if you are a young
But you
lecturer.
cannot be
now.
yes. If you're a young lecturer, if you're below senior lecturer, you cannot. But that doesn't disqualify you from being a member of a team to submit proposal.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Prof. Then the next one, main and specific objectives sound similar. What is the difference between the two?
I
think
I
Prof
don't think
had
they're similar.
presented.
Over to you, Professor.
I
don't
think
think
Prof
that's-
had presented that. Please, when the slides are made available, you can just read through. They are not
Yeah,
similar.
They are not the same one.
the main objective is your aim, the goal. Okay, so we have to rush now because of the time, and we're going to have only three questions answered. Others can be, we can send replies to this even after the webinar. 18, has TETFund concluded the 2025 call? No, the call is just
out.
open.
The call is just out now. I will be closing on the 31st of this month for the concept note.
Okay.
Once that closes, we will assess, and then the successful ones will be asked to submit full proposals.
Thank you, sir. Is the budget breakdown included in the concept note? And the final one, can someone submit a concept note on the hidden need of the institution where she has never published on?
Can you come again, please?
The first one is the budget breakdown included in the concept note? And the last one, can someone submit a concept note on the hidden need of the institution where she has never published on? I don't really understand that question too.
I'll take the first one. Professor Chinedu will take the other one. The breakdown is not submitted in the concept note. However, when she made presentation, she told, because there's a percentage for each of the items that you must request for. And that will form the basis of whether the committee will recommend to TETFund to fund or otherwise the proposal. For instance, I think you cannot have more than a quarter of the total budget on equipment, and then maybe 5% again on travels. They have started. You can't put miscellaneous expenses. There's nothing like that. So it's better you know the percentage of each of the components to arrive at the total figure that you are going to put on the first page of your concept note. But if the concept note is eventually successful, you'll be able to produce the comprehensive budget alongside with the proposal. I think Prof, you can take the other one.
Yeah, so what's the second? Repeated.
Yes, that can someone submit a concept note on the hidden need of the institution where she has never published on?
It's very dicey. That hidden need has to be the person's area of specialty as well. And how will the person have mastery of the person must have mastery of it. So it might be an area that is still under that person's specialty. But there should be a link when we look at it that you have the basic knowledge to do it. Your qualification, your past publications should show us your training that you can do work on that. Okay, when I was doing pharmacokinetics, I now needed genetics. I wanted to add pharmacogenetics in my research. I didn't have the expertise. And so I learned under my mentor, Professor Falusi. So initially the projects were submitting. I had what I wanted to do. She hasn't done pharmacogenetics, but she's good in genetics. She's been doing genetics of other things, but not pharma. So the two of us came together. I brought in pharma, she brought in genetics. I needed to learn genetics. And so the very first projects we were submitting, she was PI. And thereafter, I became PI in that area. You should grow yourself. Remember, always remember, why am I writing this project? Is it for survival of the fittest? You know, if it is a way that will really improve the lot of Nigerians, then get adequate knowledge. Maybe the person should spend 1 year, get adequate knowledge. It's not compulsory that you must have published in that area, but it can affect you if somebody decides to check. You
Thank
must
you,
have
Prof.
expertise in
In
it.
addition, for every successfully funded TETFund proposal, there is 5% of such that goes to the university, which university will pull out as soon as your first tranche arrives at the university. So I do not know another hidden need at university after that. Yeah.
Thank you, Professor Babalo and Professor Akimbile. Please, there is a question here. A concerned person wrote, we once submitted a concept note in 2020. It was accepted. Then we didn't hear anything. Please, what would have happened?
Did the person attend the interview?
The person did not write anything here. She just said it was accepted, but nothing.
Or the person failed at the full proposal?
The person did not state it here. So I think there's a comment here.
Hello?
Hello? Hello, Prof.
My,
Can you hear me?
was the person asked to submit full proposal?
No, she didn't say it here. She just said it was accepted and they didn't hear anything. She didn't talk about whether she went for defense or whether she submitted a full proposal. But a comment now came in that.
How did she know she passed?
That's what is not stated here.
Our university should have handled that a long time ago.
Okay.
They have research and development that interact with TETFund. If such comment had been raised, even up to the management level, I'm sure the university will have handled that.
Okay. So I think we have all heard now. If we have concerns, if after concept notes have been accepted and we didn't hear anything, means we should relate to the TETFund committee or monitoring and evaluation committee on our campuses, and then they can relate to TETFund. And another person said here, it will be good that TETFund adopts the method of sending feedback to researchers so that they know why their concept note failed. You know, there should be reasons for rejection so that they can use the comments to also improve their next submission.
Noted.
I think
we're on it.
I think this committee is doing it because I remember this was extensively discussed. Prof,
Okay.
do you remember that?
Yeah.
That was one of the comments of some people that they even thought it was more like a cabal, and some people even reported the years to the vice president at some point and all that. I think from this committee, we are doing it. For those whose concept notes were rejected, I think the reasons were given. If not, I'm sure they will start from this call.
Thank you very much. And the last question now, because we just have to round off. This one says, can one still lose out even after being invited for TETFund budget defense? Is it possible?
Of course. It is. You heard, don't waste time. You heard the statistics Professor Akim released. 6,000 concept notes. So and so number went for full proposal. So and so number went. Why not? They're all screening stages. They will fail. Numbers. Quite a number would fail. From 6,000 to only 185 funded projects. So a lot of failure at the concept note stage, failure at the proposal. There are 3 steps. Failure at the concept note stage or screening off at full proposal stage, and then screen out at the interview stage.
I don't want to use the word lose out. It's just you may not make it. That is not the end of the world. You just go again, pick it up again, polish it, and then you submit. Why it shouldn't be TETFund alone? I missed out in TETFund NRF in 2018. I took it to TWAS. TWAS funded it. So it's not losing out. It's just a learning process, a learning curve that we keep getting better day by day. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Babala and Professor Akimbile. Before we go to the vote of thanks by the National Vice Chairperson,
I'm leaving. Thank you.
I want to make some remarks. With the total participants on this webinar is 187. It's a very good one. So thank you very much. Then they have all requested for slides from both Professor Babalola and Professor Akimbile. We need slides of the presentation. And please note that all recordings and slides will be on the OWSD Nigeria YouTube channel. The links will be made available on our OWSD WhatsApp platform. And on this note, OWSD Nigeria YouTube channel. The links to WhatsApp platform. Thank you very much. Please, I will hand over. I'm the OWSD Nigeria chairperson, not president, please. President is reserved for the international OWSD. We have international OWSD president. But for national chapters, we have OWSD national chairperson. Thank you very much. Over to Professor Chioma Wakama for vote of thanks. That's the OWSD Nigeria Vice Chairperson. Professor Chioma.
Okay. Can you see me? Okay. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. It was a beautiful time. And I would like to, on behalf of OWSD Nigeria chapter, I want to extend our heartfelt thanks to our distinguished speakers, Professor Christopher and Professor Babalola Chinedu. It was a very short notice, but you made it happen for us, sharing your valuable insights and ensuring that we go home thoughtfully concerning these concept notes. We want to say God bless you because you've sparked a lot of reflection for us, and we deeply appreciate your time and the effort you've put to educate us. So I would like to thank you and every guest, everyone that made it to this seminar today. God bless you. And I wish everyone good luck as we put all this into practice to win more for our university and institution. Thank you, our national chairperson, for making this happen. And for every OWSD member, we want to say we are grateful. God bless you. More grace to your able for making this event a success. God bless every one of us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and have a nice weekend, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.